So my speech today will be the best history lesson unless you happen to have cable and turn on the History Channel. So I love history personally. I know a lot of people find it boring, but one reason why I love history is this one quote from Mark Twain. Truth is stranger than fiction because fiction is obligated to stick to possibilities. The truth isn't. The world has been a strange and wonderful place, and today I'm going to tell you about 3 individuals from World War II that their stories kind of just blow my mind. The first individual is Robert Henry Kane, or as I like to call him, the Tank Hunter. So it's the Battle of Arnhem on September 19th. He's with Lieutenant Ian Michael, and 2 Tiger tanks approach. The first tank shoots upon their position and kills the lieutenant instantly. Now, if it was me personally, I would have run away. But what Robert Henry Kane did was pick up a Piat, an old school bazooka, and shot at the first tank. He missed and received machine gun fire for his trouble. Now, he retreated because that's what most normal people would do, but that is the most normal thing he did during this battle. He turns around and shoots the tank, killing the first tank. And then he reloads again in an attempt to destroy the second tank, but unfortunately the round is defective. And by defective, I mean it explodes in his face. So for the next half hour, Robert Henry Kane is blind. When he regains his sight, he declares himself fit for duty, denies all painkillers that are offered to him, and equips himself with another bazooka and goes tank hunting for the next 3 days, usually by himself. On September 22nd, 3 days after his incident that turned him blind, his eardrums break because he's been shooting bazooka too much. He just takes bandages and plugs his ears. By September 25th, less than a week from his incident that blinded him, he has killed 6 tanks and an untold number of self-propelled guns, which kind of look like tanks. So the next individual I will be talking about is Simon Heiha. He's a simple Finnish farmer, but the Russians call him Vilesmin, which translates to the White Death. So a little background. So Russia decides to invade Finland because they think the Germans will use Finland as a route to attack the Russians. So they invade Finland in order to stop that. This becomes known as the Winter War, and for good reason. The temperatures range from 20 to 40 degrees below zero, and there was about 6 feet of snow. So Simon Heiha had 1 year in the Finnish army, and then he went back to becoming a farmer. But when he heard that his homeland was being invaded, he picked up a rifle that did not have a scope and decided to, shoot some Russians that were invading his homeland. So in a period of 3.5 months, he had over 700 confirmed kills. He was such a nuisance for Russians, they had a special task force to try to kill him. They failed. They had snipers meant to kill snipers. They all failed. So they just decided to carpet bomb the entire forest he was in, and they still failed. Unfortunately, on March 6, 1940, he gets shot by a sniper in the face. And that's kind of a badass way to die. It was an exploding bullet, so half his face fell off. Yeah, I'm just joking. He woke up 11 days later and lived to be 97. Yeah. So the next guy I will be talking about is Audie Murphy, my favorite American hero. So in 1942, Audie Murphy was 16 years old, and he applied to the Marines and the Air Force. They denied him, for good reason. He was 5'5" and 110 pounds. Try to keep that in mind. So the Army, allowed him to join, and they sent him to Italy, where he contracts malaria. And he has malaria pretty much for the entire duration of the war. Keep that in mind as well. So in 1944, he gets sent to France. And one of his first instances in France was some Nazi trickery. So a gun nest full of Nazis pretended to surrender only to kill his battle buddy. this guy proceeds to Hulk out, kills everybody in that gun nest, and all the Nazis within like 100-yard radius. And then later, when he was later in the year in France, there's an incident where a lot of German soldiers and tanks were impeding upon this important place in southern France. So the Germans, through pure numbers, destroy all their tank support. So what Audie Murphy does is hop into a burning tank, mans the 50 cal, and shoots for almost an entire hour at Nazis. And then I'm going to assume that after he ran out of ammo, he just hopped off the tank and exploded behind him, like in the movies. But I don't know. So what I find so amazing about this guy is after the war, by the way, he was awarded 33 medals, every single one that the U.S. Army had to offer. And then for shits and giggles, he got 5 from France and 1 from Belgium. So after he becomes, after the war, he comes down with PTSD. And then in an attempt to cure the symptoms, he gets addicted to painkillers. He quits cold turkey and turns his life around. He starts by writing an autobiography, To Hell and Back. And then he becomes a famous actor, starring in more than 40 films. One of the films is based off his autobiography, To Hell and Back. And it was the highest grossing film for Universal Studios until Jaws came out. So his story is very inspiring to me. And yeah, those are a couple stories from history that I really enjoy. And I hope you enjoyed my little history lesson.